Today we reflect on what the other side means and how it speaks to our lives, our fears, and our faith. Jesus called to his disciples to go the other side is both an invitation and a command. This invitation from Jesus is hospitality, but also challenges us to step out of our comfort zones. The other side symbolizes places that are unknown, uncomfortable, and sometimes unwelcoming. Jesus calls you and me to go beyond what is familiar and safe. The call to the other side reminds us of God's call to Abraham to leave his settled and secure life for unknown destination. In Genesis chapter 12, verse 1, the Lord said to Abraham, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's households to the land I will show you." This call is both a hospitality and a challenge from God. In today's gospel lesson, we see Jesus teaching by the Sea of Galilee as evening approaches. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, verse 35, Jesus says, "On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, 'Let us go across to the other side.'" The timing seemed unreasonable. The day's work was over, and the Sea of Galilee was notorious for sudden and violent storms. Setting out at the end of the day didn't make sense. We see many conflicts and crises happening on the other side of the world through news and media. The long-standing conflicts between Palestine and Israel, the war between Ukraine and Russia, the tension over North Korea's nuclear weapons, and the global climate change crisis. Recently, I read a newspaper, India nearing 50 degrees Celsius, and various parts of the world suffering from droughts and floods. These events challenge us to care, act, and pray. For an individual, the other side can be a completely new chapter in life. I remember crossing the Pacific with my wife Myung-rae on August 3rd, 1990, leaving Korea behind. We have now lived in the United States longer than in Korea. For us, America was the other side of the world. Coming to the United States in the 90s was filled with dreams, fears, failures, loneliness, sorrow, joy, and achievements. Each of us has on the other side that pushes us out of our comfort zones into new experiences that shape who we are. In today's scripture lesson, the Sea of Galilee symbolizes our comfort zone, where we feel safe, surrounded by family and friends, immersed in our daily routines and community. It is a place of worship and fellowship, joy and safety. However, Jesus calls you and me to the other side, to places that are uncomfortable and challenging, where our compassion and actions are needed. The other side of the Sea of Galilee was unattractive and home to the abandoned and suffering. Yet Jesus wants to spread the gospel there. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verse 1 through 5, we see where Jesus intended to go on the other side. Mark chapter 5, verse 1, they went across the lake of the region of Gerasene. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs, in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. Jesus saw the need of the Gerasene demonic, a man possessed by a legion of demons, living naked among the tombs. The Gerasene area was a place people avoided, filled with discomfort. Yet Jesus went there to offer healing and hospitality to the man. The English words hospitality and hostility share the same root, host. When I say, can you tell me what hospitality is and what hostility is? Genesis chapter 18, verse 1 through 5. The Lord appeared to Abram near the great trees Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abram looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance to his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." Is this hospitality or hostility? In Genesis chapter 19, when the same 3 strangers enter Sodom, Genesis chapter 19, verse 4 and 5. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house, and they called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we may know them. Is this hospitality or hostility?" In the New Testament, we see hospitality and hostility in how people relate to Jesus. The Gospel of John chapter 1 verse 12 says, "Yet to all who receive him, to those who believe in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. The words, yet to all who did receive him. Is this hospitality or hostility? The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 11 says, he came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Is this hospitality or hostility? Today, we live in an age where hospitality toward others is becoming increasingly self-centered. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 17, verses 26 through 29, Jesus gives us a warning message. Just as it was in the days of Noah, so also will it be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating, drinking, marrying, and being given in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. It was the same in the days of Lot. People were eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building. But the day of Lot left Sodom. Fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. Why did the people in Noah's time perish in the flood? And why was Sodom destroyed by fire and sulfur? It was because they were consumed with a self-hospitality, neglecting hospitality toward others. Jesus' purpose in crossing to the other side was to offer hospitality to someone like the Gerasene demonic. Likewise, we are called to cross over to new and unfamiliar places with Jesus to offer hospitality to others. However, the journey to the other side with Jesus is filled with danger. As we see in Mark chapter 4, verses 36 and 37. And leaving the crowd behind, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that the boat was already being swamped. The disciples faced a fierce storms as they crossed the sea. Their boat was nearly swamped, and despite being experienced fishermen, they feared for their lives. In their desperation, they cried out to Jesus. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, verse 38, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" How often in the storm of our lives do we feel like the disciples, crying out, "Lord, don't you care that we are perishing? Don't you care that I am perishing?" We sometimes wonder if God sees our suffering, fears, and pain. Mark chapter 4, verse 38 tells us, Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The fact that Jesus was asleep in the stern, the back of the boat where the steering mechanism is located, has profound spiritual significance. Jesus was in control of the boat's direction even while he slept. This reminds us that Jesus is in control even in the storm of our lives. So when you and I face life storms, hold on to some scriptural verses. Psalm 121 verses 3 and 4. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. And also, we remember favorite scripture verses from Psalm chapter 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Friends, let us believe that God is with us and watches over us, even when we feel abandoned. The Gospel of Mark chapter 4, verse 39. And waking up, he rebuked the wind and said to the sea, be still, be silent, and be still. Then the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. Jesus commanded the stormy sea to be still, and peace came over the Sea of Galilee. In today's gospel lesson, in Mark chapter 4, verse 40, Jesus asked his disciples, why are you afraid? Have you still no faith? Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith? This is a question Jesus asked each one of us today, too. In our moment of fear, doubt, and struggle, Jesus challenges us to trust and believe in him. Jesus calls us to have faith even in the midst of life's storm. After the storm has passed, disciples were left in awe and wonder. The Gospel of Mark chapter 4, verse 41. They were filled with great fear and said to one another, who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? They were terrified and asked each other, who then is this? Even the wind and the sea obey him. And the question the disciples asked is the same question we ask ourselves. Each of us must answer it personally. Who is this that even wind and sea obey him? May we all be able to respond to faithful answer to this question. Who is this that even the wind and the sea obey him? The answer is from you and me. Amen.